Last night on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. A lot of basketball to talk about, but we're going to begin with the Penguins, who played a game and won a game 5-3. It was much needed. The Devils lose again tonight, so the Penguins have tied them with games in hand, and they move now to within 8 of Philadelphia, and they have 3 games in hand. I'm trying to create a scenario where they have a chance, Andrew. I know it's a difficult one, but I thought tonight Columbus was actually the better hockey team. After the first period, they took it to the Penguins, and quite frankly, it was a couple of own goals that did the Columbus Blue Jackets in.
Yeah, the time for the Penguins to send a message to management, don't break us up, let us take a run at it, was when they were up in Canada. And they choked against the Flames on Saturday, and then they just got completely embarrassed by the Oilers on Sunday, and that's it. And I'm with you. I mean, I'm not going to look for silver linings in a very close game against the last place team at home tonight. That's not enough for me to want to give this team a shot and keep everybody together. So Jake Guentzel's still going to get traded. It's still going to go for the top offer, in my opinion. And then we'll see what else they do from there. But, yeah, this is not the kind of performance, Bob, that has me thinking, well, on second thought, let's give the Penguins a chance to make the playoffs.
No, but they did win the game, and again, they had some pretty good performances. That's your final 5-3. And as I said, the Devils also lost. Their GM said that they're looking for a goaltender, which makes me wonder. And then I see a lot of reporting today on what Jake Guentzel might bring. The good thing, as we talked about last night, Pony, is they have a lot of teams that seem to be interested. And it looks like a number 1 pick, a really good player, and some prospects. Does that sound like a fair trade if you were going to get rid of Guentzel?
Sounds like it might be 2 first-round picks, because can't you just fleece Jim Rutherford, who is just so dying to get Guentzel back with Rick Tocchet and the other old Penguins up there? He's in the mix, reportedly, according to TSN, Bob. He's even looking to dump Lindholm and trade him again to Boston to free up cap space to get Guentzel. There's a new shiny object and a new shiny toy, and Jim wants what he wants, and that's how he operates. So let's use that against him here, and let's get him in the mix to either drive up the price for someone else or trade him to Vancouver for a lot more than he's probably worth. So I like hearing Jim Rutherford's name involved here, because I think that makes my expectation for what they get back for Jake Guentzel even more than maybe he's originally or initially been reported here.
Yeah, it's funny that Rutherford's the president of that team. He's not the GM. He's brought in Patrick Alvin, who was here. But you know who's controlling this.
We know who's in charge.
And it's never dull.
We know who's pulling the strings, Bob.
Right. It's never dull when Jim Rutherford's involved, because he's always trying. And I remember talking to him once. He said, hey, what do I have to lose? I'm in my 70s. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to win one. And if they win one in Vancouver, no matter what he has to give up, they'll be happy with that. So we'll see how it goes. Meantime, Pitt's trying to continue to put together an NCAA tournament resume, and they're winning tonight. We'll talk more about that and get into some other stuff as we continue, including the NFL, which had some franchise tags given out today, was the deadline. Also 1 transition tag and a lot of quarterback talk. It's all coming up. Our GMC Sierra tweet tonight from Pitt football. Look who's back in town. It's Aaron Donald at the game tonight, watching the Pitt Panthers, who had an 11-point halftime lead, trying to beat a not-so-good Florida State team and then do it again on Saturday against NC State before the ACC tournament. Andrew, let me ask you about that. If they win these 2 and they go down to Washington, they may even get a double bye here, and they win 2 games and get to a championship game. Does that punch their ticket?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if that happens, I think they're definitely in. And I'm not even sure they'd have to go to Dayton like last year if they get all the way to the championship game. I mean, in that scenario, they could end up beating Clemson on a neutral floor and then North Carolina to get to the championship game. Those 2 wins would get them in for a bubble team that's, right there, closer to the bubble than I thought. But the net rankings are good for them this year as opposed to last year. And if they win this game by double digits, they might really race past Virginia and put themselves in maybe a similar position to get in. They do have that head-to-head win against Virginia. So I think Pitt, even with the 2 losses on the road to Wake Forest and Clemson here in the last couple of weeks, looking maybe better because the teams around them, Bob, are finding ways to lose games, including Wake Forest, who was down at home to Georgia Tech last I checked tonight.
Yep, they were. So other news tonight, Duquesne won. We also saw Point Park University, and we give my alma mater out a little shout because they won their championship as they won a close game, 76-75. In the meantime, let's get to our
how about Lisa Pompeani's alma mater? Let's give, like you said,
Duquesne.
Give Duke a little more shine there. Give Duquesne a little bit more
love. Yeah, they went
love.
to VCU. That's not an easy place, and they won.
Yeah, let's not just say that Duquesne won. VCU on the road is a very, very difficult place to win a game. So credit to Keith Dambrot and company.
And Lisa thanks you. I'm sure she's watching, and she's going to say, thank you, Pony, and why didn't you do it on yourself? Me. I should have done it, but I thought we were going to go right to our caller, which we are right now. It's the number one Cochran Go One Better caller of the night. Let's begin here tonight with Dave on the north side. Dave, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
I hope the NHL does not put extra teams in the playoffs, because it would look bad for hockey. Right now, it's looking bad for basketball. They already do it for basketball to save the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Just to let you know about that, Bob.
Oh, you're talking about a play-in tournament, right? We had brought that up the other day. I got a lot of feedback on that, actually. A lot of people actually like the idea of, having, 6 teams qualify, then you have 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9, winners advance, whatever. You don't like that, Andrew, in hockey?
I'm not opposed to it because I like one and dones. I like that one night only win and in thing. So I would actually be okay with it. I actually have liked it in the NBA. I've liked those games, those 7, 8, 9, 10 matchups, and then winners and losers play. I've been a fan of it. I think it's made that postseason a little bit more interesting. Bob, is it true that Starkey pranked the show as a guy named Glenn and Glenn Willard? Did that happen?
Yes.
The other day?
You know why it worked? Is because he hadn't done it in a long time. He used to do it every week. And when I would get, a call from, let's say, give me a name.
Cecil in Cecil Township.
Yeah, something like that. Or Peter in Peters Township. Whatever he called week after week. Well, he hasn't done that for a long time. So when I saw Glenn, I figured it was just a coincidence. And then he got on and did his Starkey rant. Yes, he got through.
And does he disguise his voice every time,
yes.
Or is it just the normal? Okay.
He disguises it. He's a beauty, that Joe Starkey. All right, let's move along here. We're going to go to Chuck in Uniontown, who joins us right now in the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. What's up, Chuck?
Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you. First of all, quickly, does that win tonight get Duquesne into the NIT?
The NIT?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I see you have a Pirates question, which I was ready for.
Okay. But, fellas, also, do you think the Pirates score enough runs to be competitive? Because they're hitting all kinds of home runs in spring training, but that's just what it is, spring training. Do you think they can sustain enough offense to be competitive this year?
I think they're potentially, spring training is spring training. We've seen too many people go down there, hit a lot of home runs, and I remember who was it, Kevin Newman, who hit like 800, and then he came up and was Kevin Newman again. But, O'Neill Cruz can supply power. If he's healthy all year, I think Hayes has shown that he's taken a step forward, Andrew. I think Henry Davis is going to be the key. Somehow he's got to be here. He's got the lively bat. He looks like a linebacker. If he can do that, Reynolds will hit 20 probably. If you can get this kind of production, and Tellez, can he take advantage of the porch? So I think they'll have more home runs, more power. I don't know if that means more wins, however.
Well, they've got young guys with talent and upside, and that's a good thing. Most of our teams, well, the Penguins specifically, are the oldest team in the NHL. They're on the decline. This team's got guys like Henry Davis and O'Neill Cruz, who you expect to get better. Paul Skeens once he gets here. So the core of this team is getting better. They've got a lot of good baseball ahead of them. So that, I think, is big, but I wonder about their starting pitching. You got to get the ball to your bullpen. And after Mitch Keller, before Skeens gets here, Bob, I just don't see enough good pitching. Ortiz and Contreras have to rebound considerably this year. And Marco Gonzalez needs to go back to being the pitcher he was a couple of years ago. So that's a lot of what ifs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's not a lot of guys in their rotation. Keller, I think you can circle in for about 28 to 32 starts and an ERA in the high threes. But everybody after that is a big question mark.
All right, back to the lines we go. It's Larry in Newcastle. Hey, Larry, what's going on?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, what's up?
I'm calling
Hey,
about
Larry.
the young lady that broke the all-time number of
Caitlin
points
Clark?
in the college. Mm-hmm. Okay, I believe it's overinflated. Why do I say that? When Pistol Pete played, there was only the 2 points. The 3 points didn't go into existence until 1986. Mm-hmm. So if you go through her record, and every place she got 3, you would mark 2, because in order to keep the books balanced and equal balance. It's the same thing that happened with Mark McGuire, and Sammy Sosa. They hit all these home runs, but they were on steroids. She has the opportunity to shoot 3 points all the time and gets 3 points.
But she's very good at it.
To the net.
You know, and the thing about it, she has unlimited range. She is the Steph Curry, and I'd like to see her next year go up against Steph Curry in the All-Star competition of the NBA. You know, the bottom line is I'm not going to discredit anything. She earned that. Pete Maravich, you're right, didn't have a three-point shot. If he did, he'd probably still be adding on to that total. So, I mean, to me, that's apples and oranges, though. I'm not going to Caitlin Clark is a special player.
It's also different sport. It's
Right.
also different sports. It's women's basketball versus men's basketball. We don't often compare women's ball to men's ball, but I guess we do here just because it's such an incredible accomplishment. Look at the NFL players today. They got more games. You know, Patrick Mahomes gets 17 games to throw for 5,000 yards. Johnny Unitas and Terry Bradshaw, for the most part, only at 14. And the rules are much different. So
Right.
you could do that with every sport, with every game. You're right. I'm not going to try to take away from what Caitlin Clark has done. It's interesting. I was talking to Paul Zeiss today, who's obviously just huge into girls and women's basketball here. He's convinced that Swin Cash and many others are better than Clark. He's not drinking Clark Kool-Aid. It was very interesting to get his perspective on it, Bob. I know he can be a little bit cantankerous and a bit of a contrarian, but it was interesting to hear someone who follows those sports as closely as Paul does make those comments. He thinks Swin Cash from right here in Pittsburgh could beat Caitlin Clark one-on-one ball in her prime. Take her right to the basket.
She's bigger, and I mean, Swing Cash was unbelievable. I don't think there's any question. It's a different sort of player.
She blocked my shot once.
What's
she
that?
blocked my shot at LA Fitness. She blocked my shot at LA Fitness in Robinson, Bob. Very, very bad.
Well, what's
I
bad
went
about
up.
that?
I thought I had an easy.
She's a Hall of Fame
I
player.
know, but I understand that. But I thought I had a nice, easy layup, and before I knew it, the ball was slamming off the backboard going to half court.
Listen, I just think they're outstanding, and Caitlin Clark is really outstanding for what she has been able to do. And there's a lot of pressure on her. There are people coming to watch her every single game. They're selling out, and she still put up 35 points the other night. And we'll see. They're not the number one team in the country. We'll find out what happens when their women's tournament is gaining a lot of momentum because of individual stars like you see with her. Real
Bob,
quick,
you know
let's
who
go
I
to-
like in the men's game? You
What's
know who I
that?
like in the men's game? I like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I like Rob Avila from Indiana State. He's the new Larry Bird. He wears those goggles. I don't know if you've seen him yet.
Yeah, I have.
But you don't like him? They got a fun player. They're going to make the tournament. He's going to be interesting. Let's get him to Pittsburgh for a first-round
I'd love
game.
to see teams like that come to Pittsburgh, no doubt about it.
He's a personality.
I'd like to see Purdue come here. I'm a big Zach Edey fan too.
Big Zach Edey and Ethan Morton from Butler,
Yeah,
who doesn't
exactly.
play a lot this year. Let's get him back off the bench here, Matt Painter.
All right.
And give the kids some more minutes.
John and Cranberry, let's squeeze you in here real quick here. John, what's going on?
Hey, thanks, Bob and Andrew, for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do a quick shout-out to Duquesne. I think they've won 10 out of 13. And,
Yeah, they're on fire right now. Yep.
They really are. But speaking of college sports, I know you want to squeeze this in, but something happened today up in New Hampshire. The Dartmouth varsity men's team voted 13-2 to unionize the team. It's the first time in college sports. And we talk about the portal and the NIL, but this is a big thing that could really impact college sports. USC is also looking to eventually try to unionize if they can get the NLRB to approve their vote. Now, I wanted to get your guys' thought on the union vote and what unionization would mean.
Well,
for
I mean,
college
to me, we're headed to this is professional basketball, Andrew. Pure and simple. This is where it headed.
Pretty
Free
much is.
agency. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's another step toward that.
I mean, the problem is that the NCAA keeps fighting these amateurism battles in court, and they're getting their butts kicked. They lose all of them. And so we know Dartmouth, very smart, Ivy League. They're onto something possibly, and it has a chance. I agree with the caller. This might be right now the most underreported story in sports, because I do think it has a chance, Bob, to really blow up. Just like that Ed O'Bannon case did when he sued for his
Right.
likeness.
Right.
I think this could end up being a huge thing in college sports, what happened
Yep.
on the campus at Dartmouth today.
And slowly but surely, the NCAA is losing control over a lot of stuff, and they don't like it. Andrew, Blake Hinson has broken the Pitt single-season record for three-point shots. Pitt is shooting 50% from three. They're up by 13 at last check. So I'll tell you what, the Pitt Panthers could be a tough draw for anyone if they're hitting those threes. They did the other day against Boston College, made 16 of them, and now tonight, 11 of 23 so far.
Yep, Hinson is the type of guy that can carry teams with his shooting, but teams have also shown lately that they can take him out of the game. And Bob, sometimes he doesn't take enough shots. I want a lot of shots from Hinton every night.
Yeah. Lisa says thank you. She texted me. She watched. You're number one on her list, Pony. Thanks. I appreciate it. And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Bob Pompeani.